this turnkey company that says they're going to give you this passive. No, it's a business, and you have to operate it successfully if you want to be successful and you want to make money. When a downturn happens, that's who we find out who the business owners are and who the hobbyists are, right?
So you want to be a real estate investor, but where do you start? How do you know what information and sources to trust? That's where I come in. I'm Jonny Cattani, and this is the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. Hey guys, real quick, before we start, go to investwithcattani.com and download my free ebook, Is Commercial Real Estate Recession Proof? Now to today's show. What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Investor Relations Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Jonny Cattani, and I'm joined today by Todd Dexheimer. Todd Dexheimer, co-owner of Endurus Capital and VitaCare Living since 2008, has purchased and renovated nearly 2,000 units. Todd has completed over 150 flips, including a 20-unit mobile home park and a ski resort, while using those profits to build his rental portfolio. Todd has personally bought and sold over $200 million of investment real estate, currently owns over $150 million of multifamily and senior assisted living in 5 states. His focus is on syndicating value-add senior living in multifamily and emerging markets. Todd, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. I got to update that. We just we keep on buying. So, you got to keep on updating. So
absolutely. No, is that out of date now?
No, it's all good. It's, whatever. All of a sudden a number just becomes irrelevant, right? It doesn't really matter.
Absolutely. That's what we should all strive for.
Yeah. We've done stuff. Let's just say that.
Awesome. Well, what's the update? What's current assets under management looking like?
Well, so it's a little cloudy now because I officially joined. So Endurus Capital officially became a company just about not quite a year ago, but I was partnering with my 2 partners, Matt and Drew, on all this multifamily properties. We just would doing deals at a time. So, I had my own single company and they each had their own single companies, and we kept on doing deals and deals and deals together. And finally we're like, look, are you going to do business with it? Are you going to do business with somebody else? No. All right. Let's form this company. So it gets cloudy because, okay, now how many assets under management do I have? Well, technically, if you're looking at me individually, it's somewhere around 200 million. But if you're looking at Endurus and VitaCare and going, how much do we have? Well, then we're looking at like almost 500 million. So, it doesn't matter. Really.
I love it. That's awesome. And I love that outlook. You're just like, it doesn't matter. We're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
Some people have it down to like the dollar, they'll be like, yeah, they've done 150 million, 0.8. And you're just like, yeah, 0.8 is important there, huh?
Yeah. And it's all relative too, because what does that look like for you?
Right.
So how is your company positioned? What's your leverage? There's so many factors that play into these big numbers that people put out there. I think the most important thing is what's your company trying to do? And our companies are trying to grow. We're trying to impact the market. We're trying to create positive impact in the market to positively impact our residents, positively impact our communities, and positively impact our investors. So that's what our business is here for, is to grow, create a positive impact. And it doesn't really matter how many doors we have under management, how many assets under management, all that kind of stuff. It matters what kind of impact we can make.
I love that. That's incredible. Very well said. Awesome. Well, either way, incredible portfolio. Excited to chat today, but take us kind of back to the beginning. We alluded there, started about 2008. We talked offline. Really, you've kind of been aware of the game in some way or another since 2003, but take us back there. What finally got you in the game and led you to where you're at now?
Yeah. It was probably back in, 2003 or so, where I was actually, so I used to be a teacher. And before I actually got my full-time teaching job, I was a substitute teacher, and I was reading all these books on real estate, business, all that kind of stuff. A lot of the Robert Kiyosaki books and various other books. And so that's kind of got my interest. Well, then the teaching job came up, and everything kind of got pushed to the side, right? Until my wife took a job in the Twin Cities, and I was in Minnesota, and I was living up in St. Cloud, which is like an hour, just over an hour away, hour and a half. And so she's living there. I'm living in and teaching still. And I'm like, what am I going to do with my free time? I started picking up books again and reading these books, and got really interested again back into real estate. And so that journey kicked off in 2017, just really just diving in and learning and getting excited about real estate. I worked remodeling construction in the summers to pay for college, to put a little extra money into our pockets after college, my wife and I, and just really understood and could I guess just really felt connected to real estate, to the concepts, math, I'm kind of more of that engineer kind of numbers type of person. So it all just made so much sense. And I decided, let's do this. Let's see what we can do. And timing worked out perfect, although worked out terribly depending on what lens you look with, right? So the market absolutely imploded, as everybody knows, in 2007 through 2008, 2009 was just going down off a cliff. And here I was looking to buy, absolutely scary time. But the great thing was everybody else was running for the exits. They're all on fire. They're all running. And I was so naive, I didn't even understand really what was happening. But I'm looking at these prices going, wow, I can buy a house for $50,000 and I can rent it for $1,400 a month. Like 1 + 1 = 2, 2 - 1 equals, oh, I got profit. Like, wow, that makes sense. So I'm, me being naive and not really understanding everything that happened actually played in my favor. So anyway, started in 2008, buying a bunch of properties, single family houses. We didn't have much. We didn't have a ton of money. Ended up leveraging really all our money, leveraging a couple friends. Then found a lender that hey, I got this program. We can refinance these properties. I'm like, whoa, 2000. This is like 2008. Everything imploded, maybe 2009, everything imploded. Like nobody can get a loan. At least that's what I'm being told. And so we refinanced these properties, pulled money out, and just like kept on rolling. Eventually started flipping houses, flipped like 150 houses, and worked my way throughout the years into kind of multifamily and now senior housing as well. So it's been a crazy journey, and I'm definitely happy to dive into any of those little details that you want, but that's kind of the Cliff Notes version.
I love it. What an incredible story. So there's something to be said about, naivety or even ignorance is bliss. You're just like, it's, and the timing works out. And we were talking about this offline. So many people worry so much about the timing, right?
Yeah.
Starting to see some signs, some people are, liquidating, getting into cash positions. Personally, you and I don't think it's going to be to the effect of 08, but you know what? I don't get paid to predict this stuff. So could be wrong. But what I love is that you found a way to do this on, like you said, you're on a teacher salary, even a substitute at first. And, you were working on the side. So many people are like, oh, I don't have any money. And it's just like, yeah, but if you really want to do it, you're going to find a way. And I love that you found a way. So let's kind of get into senior living, an asset class I'm still learning about, definitely becoming more. I started hearing about it about probably 3 or 4 years ago, but didn't pay too much attention to it, but definitely becoming more prevalent, especially after COVID, with, I think, it being a little discounted in terms of the asset class. So kind of talk about how you got started in it, what stuck out, and where you guys are at now.
Yeah, I should really have a whiteboard behind me with some charts and be able to show you everything that's going on. But senior housing is really interesting. Oh, I was going to say something before too, is there's so many people that want to, like, they have to get educated. They have to do all these things. They have to do every little last step before they take action. It's just about taking action. It's just about actually doing something, right? And that was the key to me being able to get off my butt and be naive and still push forward, is that I knew I needed to take action. I would learn as I went. But back to senior housing. It's a really interesting industry. So we have right now in senior housing, the vast majority of the residents. And so, okay, in senior housing, you've got 55 plus, you've got independent living, you've got assisted living, you've got memory care. My company deals with assisted living and memory care. So assisted living and memory care is dementia and just really something that cognitively the residents aren't functioning to a normal capacity, right? And assisted living, they need some sort of help, daily meds or something. They can't live on their own by themselves. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. So in this industry, everybody's like, oh, baby boomers, no, that's not our resident right now. That's will be our resident, but that's not our resident right now. Average age of our incoming residents, 82 years old. Okay. That's the incoming resident. That's not the current resident. So average age of the incoming residents, 82 years old, which means it's the silent generation. And this generation, what happened, their population spiked and then went down prior to the baby boomer generation starting. So we actually have a fairly low population of 82 plus coming into the market right now. Each year, we have about 350,000 new 80-year-olds entering the market, 350,000. By 2027, we will have over 1 million 80-year-olds entering the market. So we are I shouldn't say more than, we are 3x by 2027. So you can see what's coming. What's here is not what's coming. And that's an important distinction, because people get excited about senior housing right now, thinking, wow, the baby boomers, this is just this wave I'm going to catch. Well, guess what? You are going to get into this and you're not catching a wave. You're catching the trough right now. Okay. The wave is coming, but you have to make it through the trough before you catch the wave. So that's really valuable for everybody to understand that. We are underwriting on the trough. We are looking at that, and we are not underwriting pro forma. Okay. Which is great. Difference between multifamily and senior housing. Multifamily, we have to underwrite pro forma. Senior housing, we never underwrite pro forma. We buy on actuals. We buy on what's happening today. We're not buying on what's happening tomorrow. So we are positioning ourselves for massive success on what's going to happen tomorrow, as long as it does happen, which I don't see how it can't, it won't. But we are managing and we are operating in today's market. And that's important to understand. So population is going to absolutely explode. That's why I love it. It's going to increase like 66%. It's just crazy. So we love the industry, but it's definitely difficult. It's a different industry because you have housing mixed with healthcare. So multifamily, right, which is my other niche, so multifamily and senior housing. Multifamily, I do have, everybody says, well, multifamily is passive. Well, no, multifamily is still business. Like you have to, if you're not going to be successful with multifamily if you're not going to run it like a business. You have to understand that. Like it still is a business. Well, senior housing is a business. Yes, senior housing is a business, but so is multifamily. So is owning industrial buildings. So is any of these asset classes. So is owning single family houses. You can't run it like a business. You're going to fail. That's why people fail in these endeavors, is because they think they're buying a passive income stream, but what they're buying themselves is a business, and they have to operate the business to be successful. That blows people's mind. Like, I know I got this passive. No, you did not. I don't care if you bought a turnkey property from, this turnkey company that says they're going to give you this passive. No, it's a business, and you have to operate it successfully if you want to be successful and you want to make money. When a downturn happens, that's who we find out who the business owners are and who the hobbyists are, right? So senior housing, though, is definitely a business with more moving parts than multifamily. I've got 2 employees for every 100 units in multifamily. If I've got a 20 unit building in senior housing and it's assisted living, for instance, I'm going to have probably about 15 to 20 employees.
Wow.
Okay?
It's almost one per room, basically.
Yeah, because they're 24/7. I have in a 20 unit building, I'll have 3 staff on site during the day, all day, all waking hours, 3 staff on site. So that's 6 staff, 2 shifts. Night shift, I'll have 2. So that's 8 staff members per day. Plus I've got a maintenance guy. Plus I might have a cook, at least part-time on a 20 unit. Plus I have my my admin. And so you can see how it adds up pretty quickly. And those people don't work 7 days a week, right? They work 5 days a week. Some are part-time, some are full-time. And so we've got staff to manage on those buildings, but it's a business. And so you've got to understand you're getting into real estate and you're getting into business.
Fascinating. Yeah, it's definitely one, like I said, that I'm still, because the healthcare, I think it's the healthcare piece that I'm still learning about, right? Because I never was in that field. So kind of touch on, you mentioned assisted living and memory care. What's different from a healthcare standpoint for those two, and how do you set up your business so that you have that component and you're providing the care the residents need?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, if you want to be successful in this, again, you need to be able to operate a business. We are buying a lot of these properties from owners, not business operators. And we're buying them at a discount because they worked in the healthcare industry. They quit their job. They're maybe a nurse or even a doctor or something like that. The doctors seem like they're the worst. As far as operations go, they think they know everything. They are very smart people, but they don't have a clue how to run a business. And this is almost, it just doesn't work for some reason for them. But what happens is these people will buy or build 1 or 2, 3 of these facilities, right? And so they're, maybe you got a 10 unit, maybe got a 20 unit, 8 unit or something like that. And they got these and they're putting in 90 hours a week because they are owner operator. They're the ones running around. They're the ones trying to give care. You as a business owner have to find the experts. So what do you need to know about healthcare if you're going to own these buildings? You need to know what healthcare is. You need to know what services you provide. And you need to know who in the industry knows that stuff and is an expert and can help you with those operations. I am not a healthcare person. I know what I want my buildings to do. I know how I want them to operate. I know how we want to treat our residents. I know how we want to treat our staff. I know how to create a culture, and my business partner knows how to create a culture. And we know how to be leaders. That's what we focus on. And we then surround ourselves with the people around us that are going to be able to make us successful. And so that's been critical for us, is having coordinators that are going to be able to actually run the operations. We've got our regional directors that are excellent at their jobs. They're the ones that are making the day-to-day work. Without them, the wheels would fall off, right? So we have to have the right people in place and continue to hire the right people to put in place. That's key. We're always hiring, by the way. That's our philosophy, is we are always hiring, because I guarantee you, we can go around in our company and we can ask people to raise their hands, say, hey, Is there one person that you work with that you don't think is doing a good job? And you're always going to have a hand go up. And so what's that mean? It means we need to hire somebody so we can have 100% of people, which is never going to happen. So we're always hiring. We're always trying to train. We're always trying to lead. That's our key.
Fascinating. Is the attrition pretty high there, or are you having people stick around?
I mean, you got both, right? So you certainly have people that this is their career. This is their passion. They absolutely love taking care of elderly people. They respect them. They love them. This is their thing. And they're so passionate about it. Like, everybody's got their thing that they absolutely love. I respect and love elderly people, but for me to serve them at a medical capacity would not be passionate for me, right? I enjoy talking with them and discovering what they learned in their life and stuff like that. That to me is amazing, right? And learn valuable information from them and just glean upon that. But for me to actually do the medical part, no. But other people love it. And so those are the people that are going to stick around for a long time. The people that are going to be in and out are people that just aren't attracted to it. Or, hey, we're just here to get a paycheck. We're here for, I'm going to college to be a nurse.
I was going to say CNAs. I think that's like required, right?
Yeah, but they have to have some sort of
Right.
on the job. So a lot of people that are going to school to become a nurse, come into senior assisted living properties and put some time into it. And they might not be the most passionate about it because that's not really what they want to do as a nurse. Some of them do, all right? Some of them do want to do that as a nurse, but so you get a little mixed there. And so you got to be careful like that. When you're building a business, you want passionate people, you want people that are really into it, and you want people that are going to buy into your culture. And when you have people that are just in it to collect a paycheck or to just get their hours done, it's definitely hard to get them on board with your visions.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense for sure. And that definitely adds a new challenge. So were you guys in this asset class pre-COVID?
No, we got into it right during COVID. And that was also a blessing, right? And so when COVID hit, this industry got just punched in the mouth, right? Senior housing has been the best performer throughout. I mean, no recession has touched it. So it's this invincible or perceived to be invincible industry. Recessions aren't touching it. What's going to knock this industry down? And then COVID hit, and COVID just punched it right in the mouth and knocked it straight on its butt. And people were panicking, and a little bit to this day, there's still some of that going on. You had added PPE expenses. People didn't know even what to do. You couldn't lease. A lot of people shut their leasing down completely. They didn't want to do any new admits because, man, what if that person has COVID and I would rather have 70% occupancy than letting the wrong person in. All of a sudden I got 0% occupancy. So there's just a lot of fear that was happening. And so the industry went from 90% occupancy down to like 78% occupancy.
Wow.
And that's mostly, old people die.
Right.
Older people pass, and that happens. COVID or no COVID, they still pass. And if you're not letting new people in, your occupancy goes down. That's just how it is. So we fared really well. We didn't have any crazy outbreaks that killed, a bunch of our residents. We bought a property that they actually had a COVID outbreak that killed a bunch of their residents. They had two properties, and they shut one down, and they combined the residents into one, and we bought that one that was occupied. But they had bought that building back in 2015. I think it was for like $2.6 million. We bought it from them for $850,000.
Oh.
So
holy cow.
Now that's an anomaly, but the market has suffered greatly and prices have gone down drastically. So we are buying properties at current today performance market cap rates in the 10 to 15% range on market caps, at 60 to 80% occupancy.
Wow.
And
So that
so
still hasn't made a full recovery.
still has not made a full recovery. Yeah, I mean it's still working its way out. It's going to take a while. I think we're at least a year out from a full recovery, if not two. And this is, by the way, this has to do with COVID, but this has to do with what I talked about earlier. We're in the silent generation. We're in the trough. So we got COVID, we got added PPE expenses, we got more government intervention, and we're in the trough.
Yeah. So it's kind of a perfect storm right there. Like you said, you just got to, the best ones are going to be able to weather it. Sounds like they're starting to drop, and you guys are there to kind of scoop it up at a discount. So in terms of you said the average age was 82 or 80.
Yep. Average
So
incoming is 82.
the others, are they just being cared for at home? Like a family member stepped in and has cared for them? Do you have any kind of data on that?
Yeah, you got some of that, or do we definitely have people in our homes that are in their 70s and even some in their 60s, and we have even every once in a while some in their 50s. But we also have the resident that comes in for the first time that's 95 years old, and my grandma, for instance, was 96 years old before she went and got any kind of outside care.
Wow.
Right. So you get those residents too. So I think it's just an average, right? We get any range, but I would say the vast majority of our new admits are upper 70s into the 80s.
Interesting. And the others are just being cared for at home, like the
or they can just
take that chance,
or they're still good. I mean, like
Yeah.
I look at my parents. My dad's I think 78 right now, and he's just running around like he's 50. He doesn't need care, and I think there's a lot of people that are in that position. There's obviously a lot that aren't, but
right.
Yeah.
Interesting, fascinating. Yeah, I appreciate you shedding some light on it, because now it makes a lot more sense. And then as far as, sort of investors and kind of the business side of things, do you charge per room? Is that how it works? Or what's kind of the breakdown there on the business side and the investor side of things?
Yeah. So for the business side, yeah, we charge by the room. There's a daily rate, and the daily rate, there's a kind of a base rate, and then you've got rate based on services. You got your base rate, and then that increases based on the amount of services that need to be provided to that person, and that could change as they age in place, right? So it could start out at, let's call it $3,500 a month, and it could end up at $5,500 per month. And then there's public pay and there's private pay. We're mostly in kind of this 70% public pay, 30% private pay, but there's other people that go 100% private pay. The nice thing about private pay is that they tend to pay more, and so your margins are higher. It doesn't mean that your profit's more. It means your margins are higher. Now, of course, your profits are more if you bought it at the same price, right? Because margin price, but usually if you're buying 100% private building, you're buying it for a lower cap rate and a higher price. So, but you've got more margin. So if you got one tenant that leaves or one resident that leaves, it doesn't affect you as much.
And that the difference there is literally like family, like their own money versus what, like insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, basically.
Correct. A lot of these residents don't have money. I mean, think of it as, I shouldn't say think of it as Section 8 because it's a lot different. But yeah, I mean, it's government assistance of some sort. And some of them have, it's not necessarily that they have 100% government assistance. Some of them do, some of them don't. So, and some of them start out private pay and end up then going into public pay. So,
interesting.
And they might, depending on where they're at, they might have to find a new place to stay. So Yeah, it's an interesting industry as far as investors go. I mean, so it's an industry that definitely is an industry that if you're going to get into it, you need to be fully committed to it. And so if you're if you're going to get into it on the purchasing and the operation side, you need to be fully committed to it because it it is not as easy as what some people make it sound like.
Yeah, it's not
It's
like buying a
not
20
rocket
unit
science.
apartment complex.
Yeah, it's not a 20 unit or 100 unit apartment complex. It's not rocket science, but you it's just definitely a different deal. And I think a lot of people get into it hearing some of the numbers because I mean, we're able to make, you know, 50% cash on cash return or sometimes greater. The very first building I bought, the first year we had it in operations, I think we made like a 70% cash on cash return.
Wow.
That's fairly healthy. So people look at that and go, wow, I'm going to do it myself. And they're focusing on the dollars, and then they lose and they wonder why they're losing. It's because you're
Yep.
not focusing on caring for the residents. You're not focusing on building the operations. You're not focusing on your staff and building the culture. You win and fail based on how you lead these properties.
Right.
So don't focus on your profits, focus on the people, and you're going to make good profits. And I think that's true with anything. With
Oh,
multifamily, I think
absolutely.
that's true as well. Um, so with investors, I mean, we set our returns up, very similar, whether it's multifamily or whether it's senior housing. I mean, and so they're able to make pretty good cash on cash return. That's the strength of the senior housing is the cash on cash return is very good for the investors. And then these are longer term holds. So we're typically telling our investors, look, plan on being in this asset for at least 10 years, if not
Wow.
longer, 15, maybe even 20, because we look at this generation of baby boomers coming up and we know it's not going to be overnight. And so there's going to be a ton of opportunity coming. And so ours is a long term hold. And look, why would you want to get out if you're making 20% cash on cash return?
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So if we're making 15, 20% cash on cash return, we have a chance to refinance, like we're probably going to keep you in.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's certainly one of those asset classes that will definitely be in my LP portfolio, but because I can go out and find strong operators like yourselves. But yeah, looking at it from an operational standpoint, certainly. And listen, that could definitely change. I'm sure you
Yeah.
probably said the same thing 5 years ago,
100%.
but
I did.
um, I'm. It's nice that you guys see it, run it the way it's supposed to. Because, listen, not that I want a multifamily operator to operate it incorrectly, but at least there it's typically families that can handle that type of mismanagement type of thing. When you're in the senior living, they can't be moved around and not
No.
cared for, and things going wrong all the time. Like, that's not the demographic that can handle that.
It's literally in some cases, certainly not all, but in some cases, it's literally if they have to be moved, it's life or death. Like
That's
if
awful.
they have to be moved, it's going to cause so much stress on them and anxiety, and they may not die, but it's not a healthy situation for them at their age, and then and with their health condition. So you want to make sure that whoever's operating is doing a good job. There's an amazing amount of abuse in the industry, which is really sad when you think about it. I don't understand it, but it does happen a lot,
It's awful.
and so that's definitely something that's became very passionate about for me. And by the way, it didn't start that way. Like that's not why I started because because there was abuse in the industry and I wanted to change it. Um, but as I got into the industry, I realized there was this abuse happening, and now I really do want to change it. So it's just really sad. Like these people have lived their entire life. They've got so much to offer. They've got, like we gotta be taking care of them and doing it the right way. And we have to get rid of abuse in this industry, but it's still running pretty rampant, and it's just a sad thing. We have to work to be better and to get rid of it in the industry.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, that's too bad. But again, grateful that there's operators like you who see that and are working to make a change. And that's where it starts, right? It starts with one group. And I know there's multiple groups out there. I've
Oh,
listened to
yeah,
other podcasts of
yeah.
other very strong operators who have the same sentiment. One thing I want to touch on before we wind down is the ski resort. I'm a big skier. I live in Salt Lake City. Kind of touch real quick on that project.
It sounds more impressive than what it is because hey,
Fair.
it's a ski resort,
Right.
but it was a small Minnesota ski resort. Yes, we do have skiing in Minnesota. Small Minnesota ski resort. I think there's 4 chairlifts and a tow rope. And my then business partner was actually deer hunting on the neighbor's property and was trying to figure out where the deer were coming from and where they all were, and stumbled on this property, went and saw there's this big building there, there's chairlifts, like what's going on here? So found out that who the owner was, went and talked to them. Long story short, worked out perfect. They had shut it down a few years before because somebody fell off the chairlift and got hurt. And so they shut it down and they hadn't started back up. And we ended up coming in and we bought this defunct ski resort. We never ended up getting it back up and running. We had talked about it, but it was more of a distraction than really what was needed. So we ended up selling it, and it worked out really well. We doubled our money on the sale. Sold it
Even
to this
without
guy.
ever getting anyone on the chairlifts.
What's that?
And nobody ever ended up even taking a chairlift in that time. You just got it more operational for the next person.
Yeah, yeah. And so the guy that owns it now is running events and weddings out of there, and he's doing snow tubing. He's not doing skiing out there. He's doing snow tubing. He's got one of the lifts operational, and he's got the longest snow tubing run in the state of Minnesota.
Oh, that's awesome.
Open, and so it's cool. Young guy, super ambitious, and he's done a lot of great work with the property. So it's exciting that somebody took it and did something good with it. We took it and we cleaned it up and made it better than what it was. It had this 8,000 square foot kind of chalet thing, and so we fixed that up. It was going to be falling apart soon if somebody didn't do something to it. It was going to get beyond disrepair. So we fixed that up, and then he took it to the next level. He really made it really nice, and yeah, it's fun. I actually got to get down there because I haven't seen it in a while. But
love that. That's awesome. Cool. Well, as we round it off here, I've got 5 questions to ask all of my guests. We'll get to those. First question: best advice you've gotten from a mentor?
Well, I don't remember the exact words. There's so many great pieces of advice I've gotten, by the way, but the best. Well, so these are actually 2 different mentors. One was shift your paradigm, and the other mentor told me in different words I need to shift my paradigm, and I went from buying 10 unit buildings to buying 100 unit buildings, basically because he's like, why? Just go do it. You don't need to graduate. So my best piece of advice is you don't need to graduate. You need to shift your paradigm, and you need to go after your dream.
Gosh, couldn't agree more. Just had this conversation with my young cousin. He's thinking about not finishing school, and I didn't finish, and so I love that. What is it about your career that makes you feel like you're fulfilling your why?
Man, impact. I wake up every day and I try to make sure I'm doing things that are making impact, and it might be as simple as coming onto a podcast. Maybe one person listens to this and it makes an impact in their life. Volunteering for my church board, or volunteering at church, or donating money. So impact, being able to make impact on this world, I think it definitely pushes me to the next level.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. One thing I really love about this industry is the ability to give back, right? You kind of work your way up and then give back, whether you're teaching, philanthropy, whatever it is. So incredible. Favorite non-real estate or investment related book?
Non-real? Did you say non-real estate?
Yeah, non-real estate
And non
or
investment?
or investment related, self-help, fiction, anything like that.
Okay. I would say there's a couple of self-help books I really like. One is How to Win Friends and Influence People, and the other one's Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. Those are two of my favorites.
Yeah, great books. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Superpower. Oh boy. That's an interesting question. I'd just like to fly. That'd be fun. Yeah.
No brainer. That's mine. Yeah. And some people say teleporting, and certainly that would be great, but I think I would actually enjoy the flying part,
If my superpower could be going back to the future, or into the future, that would be pretty cool too. But,
yeah.
That might mess things up. So maybe not.
I know. I always wonder about
Let's
that.
Let's just go fly.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Absolutely. Love it. Cool. Last one. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you and learn more?
Yeah. Well, appreciate that. So there's, our assisted living, website's VitaCare Living. It's all one word, VitaCare Living. And then the multifamily is enduruscapital.com, or they can just shoot me an email. Probably the best email is todd@enduruscapital.com. That's ENDURUS capital.com.
Cool. We'll link those websites in the show notes. Todd, can't thank you enough for all of your time. This has been amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yep. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you really enjoyed it. Listen, I know it's cliche and you hear it all the time, but please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you know when the next video is coming out. Even though this is technically a daily podcast, it's coming out the next day. We have a ton of content coming your way. So please like and subscribe. It helps a ton. Leave comments. Would love to know what you guys think. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks so much.